I still remember that night vividly. A Valentine's night that was supposed to be filled with love and warmth turned into a nightmare I could never forget. Every time I close my eyes, the memories return, haunting me, as if it all happened just yesterday. It all started with a strange message I received on my phone that morning. It was short and cryptic. "Don't go to that place tonight, please." There was no sender's name, just an unknown number. I ignored it at first. I thought it was a prank or maybe a wrong number. I even laughed and showed it to my friends while we were planning a Valentine's dinner at a small restaurant on the outskirts of town. The restaurant was known for its romantic atmosphere, but it also had a chilling history. Years ago, it was the home of a woman who took her own life on Valentine's night after her fiancé died in a tragic accident. They say her spirit still lingers, searching for someone to keep her company forever. But I didn't believe in ghost stories. They were just myths, right? The warning I ignored. We arrived at the restaurant around 8 p.m. It was oddly quiet for a Valentine's night. The dim candlelight created a warm ambiance, but something felt off. The waiter who greeted us looked pale, his smile unnaturally stiff. In the farthest corner, an old man sat alone, his eyes fixed on me with an empty stare. We sat at a round table near the window, laughing and chatting as if nothing was wrong. Then my phone vibrated again. Another message. "Leave now. She knows you're here." A shiver ran down my spine. My eyes darted around, scanning the room for anyone suspicious. But nothing seemed unusual. My friends were still enjoying their meals, oblivious to the growing dread inside me. Suddenly, another waitress approached our table. Her head was tilted downward, and her long hair covered most of her face. "Can I help you with anything?" she asked in a soft, almost lifeless voice. I swallowed hard, feeling something was wrong. "No, we're fine," I replied hesitantly. She didn't leave right away. Instead, she slowly turned her head toward me, and that's when I saw her face. Her skin was deathly pale, her lips cracked and dry, and her eyes completely black. No pupils, no whites, just two dark voids staring into my soul. I gasped and pushed my chair back, but when I blinked, she had already turned away and walked back into the shadows. I shook my head, convincing myself it was just my imagination. But then, the lights in the restaurant flickered violently before going out completely. The soft music that had been playing stopped, replaced by an eerie, suffocating silence. And that's when I saw her. In the darkest corner of the restaurant, beyond the reach of the flickering candles, a woman in a flowing red dress stood motionless. Her head was slightly tilted, her tangled hair covering her face. At first, I thought she was just another customer, but as my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Her feet weren't touching the ground. She was floating. I wanted to scream, but my voice was trapped in my throat. I turned to my friends, but they continued laughing, completely unaware of what was happening. And then she moved. With a jerking, unnatural motion, she glided toward our table, her long, skeletal hands stretched out, her nails sharp like claws. I struggled to move, but it felt like something was holding me down. She came closer. I could finally see her face. Black, empty eyes, a twisted grin, blood dripping from her lips. She opened her mouth and a piercing scream filled the air. The sound was unbearable, as if thousands of voices were screaming at once. Then everything went black. I don't know how long I was unconscious. When I woke up, the restaurant was empty. My friends were gone. The tables, the chairs, everything was covered in dust, as if the place had been abandoned for years. My phone buzzed. With trembling hands, I picked it up and read the final message. "Now you're mine." I looked up and saw my reflection in the restaurant's glass window. She was standing right behind me, smiling. I ran out of the restaurant, my heart pounding. The street outside was eerily quiet. The cars that had been parked earlier were gone. There was no sign that the restaurant had been open that night. I turned around, staring at the building. It was dark, lifeless, as if it had been abandoned for decades. Frantically, I grabbed my phone and tried calling my friends. No answer. I opened my social media, searching for any trace of our dinner plans, but there was nothing. No photos, no messages, no check-ins. It was as if that night had never happened. I started running, desperate to get home. But something was wrong. The streets looked unfamiliar. Every turn I took led me to the same place. The streetlights flickered, and every time I glanced back, I felt something following me. The sound of footsteps echoed in the distance. Growing closer, I ran faster. I turned a corner, hoping to escape. But there she was. The woman in the red dress stood at the end of the street, smiling. I spun around and ran the other way, only to find her standing there again. No matter where I turned, she was always there. I can't escape. I can't leave. I am trapped. And ever since that night, every Valentine's Day, I see her again, waiting. And I know that one day, she will finally take me with her.